All right, so there are tons of guitars out there. Every artist seems to have an artist series and they're all tempting, but they all cost a lot of money. So today we're gonna compare two guitars. One of them I found at a thrift store for $60. The other one is a name brand Fender Strat. And we're gonna compare them and see what the difference is between those price points, if the cheaper one's playable, as well as what we can do to make our budget guitars play and sound better. So if that interests you, let's dive right in. All right, so first things first, we're gonna clean up the guitar. As you can see from the B-roll that I took, there is dust everywhere. The strings are extremely old. The nut is completely out of place by like a few millimeters, which is terrible. And all the frets are extremely dirty. So for this next step, cleaning up the guitar, we're gonna need a cloth, some fret polish right there, screwdrivers, I got a bunch of them right here. We're gonna need a fret file, the proper Allen keys for the truss rod and for the bridge itself, StewMac Erasers. They're very soft. This one is very soft, it feels like an eraser, and this one is just a little bit grainy. You use these after you've already filed down the frets and you just wanna clean the little rough edges. I'm also gonna use this Planet Wave string winder as well as a string cutter. Cool, so first things first, let's remove all the strings. All right, the strings are off, so now let's wipe down all the dust. Quality content, I know. I know it when I see it, you know it when you see it. If you're gonna spray the guitar down, make sure all the dust is off for the most part, because you're just gonna make dust mud. You're gonna make guitar dust mud. Nobody wants guitar dust mud. Not even the guy from Mudvayne wants dust mud, so. Maybe he does, I don't know him. I don't really know him. Always a good sign. This is good, this is good. Right in the corner. I'm using this little Rode Go wireless mic. I just bent the cable and I think it's still working, so check. Cool, that was fun. A lot of times I'll also use a paintbrush to get the dust off. All right, cool, so before I jump into this next part, if you wanna learn how I modeled this concept guitar for free using a free program called Blender, let me know down in the comments below and I'll be sure to make a tutorial on it. Thanks. All right, so now that we have that cleaned up, we're gonna take the masking tape and we're gonna basically cover the frets just where it joins with the fret, because when I'm sanding it down and when I'm filing it down, we don't wanna ruin the wood. Of course, I have the worst masking tape in the world. Convenience store masking tape. Value Village Guitar, convenience store tape. They're both operating. Sweet right now. It's just for protection. So instead of moving the tape over after you're done each fret, just tape down all of the frets first. Convenience store tape, don't buy it. All right, that was really annoying. I'm gonna have to change my operation here because apparently getting tape out is impossible. So now we have the file, and basically we're going to just scrape off the top layer of all that grime that's built into the fret right now. You're gonna go forward and basically just follow the fret. Try not to touch the fretboard if you can. That's why the tape's there, just to protect it. So you're gonna go over and you'll feel a bit of resistance from the grooves. You're gonna make a line and just clean off that gross side. And within a few, I can already see quite a bit of grime coming off of there. So you kind of like follow the fret and then towards the end you scoop over, and I go a little bit more straight. And then when I'm coming back, I'm kind of doing the same thing, but in reverse. So I'm gonna try to go through these as quick as I can, just because it's a little tedious. It is quite a bit easier to go forward than it is to go backwards, I will say. I'm pretty comfortable going backwards at this point, but if you want, you can just flip to the other side of the table and just do the forward motion once you get comfortable with it. You will be able to see slight dings in it, just really small ones, and I don't go too crazy right now because those little erasers that I showed earlier will fix that. It's much safer to go in very small increments with the eraser since it's a much smaller file and it's a lot more malleable. And just remember to also square off the fret so that it's not sharp on the end there. You're curving to the center of the fret and then curving down a bit just at the end. Now that we have all the frets filed down and they're in a cleaner state, I'm gonna put some of this fretboard cleaner on the guitar and just clean off some of the extra gunk that we didn't get off with just the dry towel. I'm assuming that this was somebody's starter guitar that I found at Value Village because, for one, it's just a starter guitar. And again, I'm no professional guitar tech. I just know enough to work on my own guitars. So I wasn't working on getting them perfect because realistically I can't get it perfect. I don't do it enough times. I basically just wanted to get off all of the sweat and all of the tears and all the guilt off of the existing frets. I'm going to put the strings back on and we'll see how it sounds compared to my Mexican Fender. Alright, cool. So I changed the strings, I set the guitar up, I did the intonation, I set the action to be comfortable for me, and then I let the strings chill overnight just so I can get to it today. And I was surprised today when I was warming up and I was stretching out the strings. I played a bend back here and the nut actually broke. So you can see in the footage right here, the nut just snapped. So surprisingly, it's still holding in place. I don't know how or why, but it is. It actually sounds pretty damn good. I was surprised. I was expecting it to sound really bad. One thing I do notice is that the input is way quieter than my Strat. Overall, it was a pretty easy fix. The only thing that won't be an easy fix is getting a replacement nut and inserting it because it's actually like a very strange size. I feel like that's something I wouldn't be able to do myself and I would have to bring it in. And that's one thing that I do notice with budget guitars in general. This happens a lot. So it is messed up and the nut is broken, but it still works. So we're gonna compare this made in China Barracuda Strat knockoff with a made in Mexico Strat that is actually my first guitar from the 90s. I love that guitar. It's also a budget guitar, but it's a brand name Fender one. So we're gonna compare it and just see how the pickups sound, how the guitar plays. And surprisingly, like, it does play surprisingly really well. The neck is quite a bit thicker. It's not like terribly thicker, but for a budget guitar, it's actually pretty damn good. Cool, so I'm just gonna do a few very straightforward chord progressions for this first part. I'll do it on this Strat, and then I'll do it on the Made in Mexico one. Cool, so it actually sounds quite different. Let's gotta make sure. Yeah, same pickup, same everything. I haven't changed the volume on the interface at all. This guitar has definitely seen better days. It probably sat in my closet for about like 5-6 years, and then I took it out and put new strings on it, and I realized that it's actually a really good guitar. The neck is way more comfortable than that one, I will say. The body's quite a bit heavier, which I guess speaks to the quality of wood that they're using on the Made in China Barracuda. Let's try a riffy thing. So definitely a lot harder to play on this one. The neck is just not as comfortable. It's doable. Let's try more of a metal kind of sound. So let's see how this goes. want to try one more example. So I do have to raise this guitar volume on the input of my interface because it's quite quiet. It does make you work quite a bit more, but for $60, it's a friggin' great guitar. So let me try something a little more like bluesy kinda. So there are a few troublesome things about this guitar. First of all, the nut breaking. Second of all, the truss rod. I've noticed that it was straight, and in general you want it to bow just the tiniest bit. When I loosened it, it just got to the point where I was like, wow, this is loose and it's not doing anything. But aside from that, like playability, it's not the worst guitar I've played. I've definitely played a lot more expensive guitars that play a lot worse. And it actually sounds pretty good. Like the pickups are, wherever the heck they are, they sound decent and they do the job. You can actually hear a lot of rattle on that string. And I believe it's because the neck is so straight that when I'm tapping down on, say, fret 5, it's buzzing somewhere else. It is what it is. $60, you can't go wrong. Thank you for watching. I was pretty surprised with the results. I wasn't expecting the budget guitar to sound as good as it did, but let me know what you think down below. Let me know which guitar you like better for which style. I found they both operated well, but within different genres and different playing styles, one seemed to sound better for that genre. So if you enjoyed it, please like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned to the next one. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. See ya.